Hello, boys and girls of 5NC. This is Mr. C back at ya. And in today's video tutorial, we are going to be talking about how to change a fraction that is improper, that's improper, how to change an improper fraction to something we call a mixed number. Now, an improper fraction by definition is a fraction whose numerator, or the top number, is larger than the denominator, or the bottom number. And we can't just leave it that way, okay? We need to change that to a mixed number. So how do we do that? Well, it's a three-step plan. Step number one, we'll call it goes into. Ah, yes, the old goes into. Now, once we find out the goes into, that's going to equal our whole number. And we write that whole number big. So that's always what you got to remember. The whole number is the big number, okay? So here's what we do. We ask ourselves, how many times does 5 go into 22? Now, just like pistol division, you can't go over. So how many times can 5 go into 22 without going over? Can you guess it? Yep, it goes in 4 times. It can't go in 5 times because 5 times 5 is 25. We've gone over. It has to be 4. And 4 is going to be our whole number, and we write that big. So we write just a big 4 there, okay? Step number 2, what's left over? What's left over? That equals the numerator. All right. So we ask ourselves, well, when 5 goes into 22 4 times, 5 times 4 is 20, okay? Well, what's left over? How far is that from 22? Well, there's 2 left over. And what does that number become? It becomes the numerator in our proper fractions. So there you go. 2 becomes a numerator. And step number 3, perhaps the easiest steps, the denominator stays the same. The denominator stays the same. The denominator is 5 in our improper fraction. It's going to be 5 in our proper fraction. And again, we call this a mixed number because it's a mix of 2 different things. It's a whole number next to a proper fraction, not an improper fraction, a proper fraction. And why is it proper? Well, because the numerator, the top number, is smaller than the denominator. Okay? So again, step number 1, how many times does 5 go into 22? Well, it goes in 4 times. Not exactly 4 times, but that's about as close as it can get. 4. That becomes our whole number. What is left over, which in this case is 2, because 22 and 20 are about 2 apart. So what's left over, that becomes our numerator, and the denominator is the same as our improper fraction. And that's basically all there is to it, to changing an improper fraction to a mixed number. And what's really cool about this is if you know that 2/5, if you've memorized that 2/5 is the same as 0.4, remember I had you memorize all of those fractions. Why the heck did you have us do that, Mr. C? Well, because if you know that 2/5 is 0.4, then 4 and 2/5 is the same as 4.4. Man, that is a thing of beauty. Thanks for listening, and it's good to be back.